Good evening. I want to thank everyone for coming out for the workshop this evening. The workshop this evening is about a modification and extension of our interlocal agreement with the Aberdeen Police Department. As you know, law enforcement has been operating with our chief, Officer Bailey, and our reserve, and a successful interlocal agreement with the Aberdeen Police Department. On August 31st, Officer Bailey took a police position with Aberdeen. Since then, Aberdeen increased services and has been more present during the day and available at night. As you're probably aware, Aberdeen attends our council meetings ever since we entered into this agreement. It's been a very successful partnership. We actually have three Cosmopolis residents that are Aberdeen police officers, so they know our community well. As we go through the workshop, I'm going to have Chief Lehman speak. I'm going to have Tara speak to the financial piece of it. And then we have Chief Green and Commander Timmons here tonight that will talk about services, and we will be here to answer any questions that you may have. So, Chief Lehman, let's start with you.
Good evening, Council. Hopefully everybody received my email. I tried to be as articulate as I could as far as where we are and what got us here and trying to see a path moving forward. The approach of what I'm trying to communicate is I want to ensure Cosmopolis' safety, while at the same time our fiscal health, knowing that it's been extremely rough for quite a long time now and it doesn't seem to be getting any better. And when I was presented with prospective dollar amounts to try to make it happen, the math didn't math. Might have had enough money to have an officer be on payroll in addition to me, but not enough money to hire them, not enough money to send them to the academy, not enough money to put them through field training program, and all of that being a big giant gamble of rolling the dice if they would make it through those programs, which is, we've had a great success rate for that process, but there's zero guarantees that it would work. And then be stuck with somebody that we shouldn't have retained because we financially didn't have another choice, and then the liabilities that would go with it. And as I also said in my email, it's just Washington State's literally the last place in the nation for officers per capita. With that divide growing greater, and I can't compete to draw people here. So with that in mind, I think we would be wise to be proactive. The current contract expires at midnight, like Cinderella, with things turning into pumpkins and otherwise, December 31st, and I would love to get a plan in place and have the best interest of this community in mind. There's a lot of it that goes in my mind that goes with it, but I think we should stick to what's best for this community, and that comes to both safety and fiscally. And that is why I communicated what I communicated to you, and the door open to talk about it before we got to this point. And I appreciate those that spoke to me, and I hope I answered the additional questions that you had for me. Without telling the council what to do, I do think Aberdeen is the best choice. They've proven that time and time again on law enforcement services-wise. And I think if you compare and contrast other things, other scenarios, they become the smart choice and the most advantageous for our community choice. And I think the bid was actually phenomenal. It was less than I expected. Don't tell those guys that, but less than I anticipated it being. And they already know our community. They're already invested in our community, and they have a lot to lose by not having us have the contract with them, because they're still going to end up having to come for those other agencies should we go with them, because they're not going to be here soon enough and the public needs served, and they're going to do the right thing and serve. So might as well just be them that's responding anyway. So I don't want to talk too lengthy without just giving you the opportunity to ask me the questions you have, if you have any. But again, I hope my written communications prepared you for tonight. And if you have questions, I would love to try to answer them.
Okay, hearing no questions, we'll move on.
Well, actually, I have
Wait, wait.
one.
Yes.
I was waiting to see if anybody else had a question. So as far as, the contract, we do that, what about our court system? Does that end
Completely,
up?
that's a great question.
Would that
The
be
court is a
taken over?
completely separate
Right.
thing that I have zero
Right.
ability or influence over. There's been some case rulings that have said that those have to be completely separate piles.
Yeah, okay.
My understanding though is when the current things that we have contractually with that court come to a conclusion, you as a council could choose to go a different path
Okay.
and maybe lump things together to make it more cohesive and even easier on the agency that's providing those services. And I'm sure that our city attorney could give better clarification for that, but I think I'm correct.
That's correct. So when Mayor and I were talking about this, and so, it's, if we are gonna go lock, stock with Aberdeen, they're gonna, they cite into Aberdeen right now.
Yeah.
And what you could do is, you could do a joint court. For example, in Lakewood, you've got DuPont, Stillicum, Lakewood, that sort of thing. There's been some discussion of a regional court in, Elma, because Oakville, same issues.
Right.
Oakville contracts with the county. It's less hours, it's 40 hours, I think it's 40 hours a month or something, but we still maintain our municipal court, because that's what the city wants to do. That's a bigger it's a discussion, I'm not sure, it's maybe not to be discussed tonight, but it's certainly a discussion for the city to have. There might be some cost savings with that. A lot of times, sometimes in my experience, cities want to keep municipal courts more for kind of tradition than anything else. And also when we have a police department, they like this, the officers in my experience like to cite into their own municipal court. But, so that's up to the council, but just let the council know, when you move, you are committed to move. All right, I'm not quoting the statute, but you're there for a period of time. And it's difficult, in fact, I'm not sure I've seen a court go back once they make that move. So, just so you know. And the ones I've seen have gone to the county, Thurston County, for example. Tumwater was its own municipal court for a while, and they got absorbed by the county. And Grace Harbor, I've heard some discussions about them trying to do the same thing. McCleary, for example, we contract with Grace Harbor County. So we prosecute, but we go to Grace Harbor County to do it. I have no idea if that saves any money or not. So.
Thank you, Chris. I do have a question. And this is a question for the chief and for council also. Everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you. One question that I have is, so we contract with Aberdeen in the long term. So up to this point, we've had our own police force, and one of the things that's easy to take for granted with your own police force is they know the laws of our city. They're familiar with our ordinances and what exactly needs to be enforced. So, somebody makes a call about somebody's in the park at 10 p.m. They understand, if a person's allowed to be in that park at 10 p.m. Or if that is something that requires a law enforcement response. So when I think about issues like that, any sort of external agency we contract with is not going to have that same level of familiarity. It raises questions for me about to what extent will it be necessary for us to align some of our local laws with the police force that we contract with. So, sure, for emergency situations, that's not generally going to be a concern. But when it comes to, just kind of your everyday enforcement of statutes, to what extent can we expect there to be, issues there that might need resolution? And I would just like your kind of general impressions about what we could expect in terms of that.
Do you want to answer that? I think we both can. obviously, there's going to be some differences, but we have a lot of similarities at the same time. Aberdeen has park hours regulations just like we do. I don't, off the top of my head, think of one particular law that we have that they don't have. There's just some variances from statute to statute, and I do think it would probably be a good thing to move towards some, it's something that's been long overdue anyway. We have a lot of very antiquated municipal codes that we've been slowly addressing through Public Safety Council meetings. There's quite a few that I think got tabled a couple of months ago that we were working on. So that process should continue, but I think there's just going to be some learning curve involved, and they will be able to accommodate to those things, but they're not going to have the priority level that necessarily if you remained with our own police department that you would have seen, because there's going to be other calls for service going on. We are currently enjoying a concierge level of service, and now we're going to have to go to the general doctor like everybody else. Or at least we had a concierge level service. We don't anymore. But yes, please, Chief Bing.
Yeah, I think it really, your Causey Municipal Code's all online, it's very searchable, very easy to look up, just like ours. It's really kind of, I think you keep it how you like it. If it's something that's not working, we'll change it. I just look like, for example, the parking one. Now we'll have a parking enforcement officer, so we have a parking problem during the day, he can no longer handle that. It doesn't take us long to look those things up to make sure that we're making the right decision based on what the law in Cosmopolis says. But like, for example, in Causey, you can park your car on the road for like 7 days at a time. In Aberdeen, it's like 24 in some sections, 72 hours in the others. So, we're hooking 110 cars a year because we have the volume, and that's a problem for us. I don't know if it's a problem here or not. You guys would probably know better than I do, but you probably have some cars in some people's neighborhoods that aren't moving that you would like some attention at. We can give that attention to them. But, we've changed laws in the last, since I've been doing this thing for 3.5 years now, to cater to problems that pop up, public camping, things like that. And, we'd certainly be doing the same thing that you all have. It doesn't take a lot of work for us to do that, honestly. It just takes times and hearings and all the other things. But it needs to be personalized how you want your police service here. It's going to be different, yeah.
Chief, if I could jump in real quick. I believe if changes were to come down, there are differences between us and Aberdeen. The mayor could probably get a hold of you and let you know what it is and go from there.
Yeah.
And we've had
Yeah.
calls.
Simple technology is really our friend too nowadays. The officer can pull over to the shoulder road and do a code search for our municipal codes with a keyword, and he'll know the answer within a minute or two. So again, technology is on our side. I'm sorry, Councilman.
No, that's okay. Well, animal control was one.
Absolutely, yeah, big benefit to
A
us.
big benefit to us that we haven't had for quite some time, or
A
you've had to
frustration for us for a long
to
time.
deal with. And I think our laws in that aspect pretty much align, and I think we even designed them after Aberdeen's ordinances
Yeah,
when we
we
did.
have. There's some continuous improvements that still need to be made about dangerous dogs and returns. That was some of the projects we had been working on that we tabled till we dealt with bigger issues. But yes, and I'm sure the subject matter expert, the person that's doing animal control, would be much more beneficial than me trying to figure it out that has no desire to deal with animal problems.
And a robbery, a break-in, something along these lines, that we have their detective
And not only
services.
would you have a patrol response, but if it rose to the level of what they would use their detectives for, they would be applying the use of their detectives, which are some very well-trained, very active officers, detectives, sorry.
Thank you, Chief. Can I ask a follow-up on my earlier question? So there are the,
Quickly though,
Just-
Councilman Wynn.
yeah,
So
please.
a lot of our criminal codes are adopted by reference to like the RCWs.
Correct.
So like we don't have our own definition of, well, typically we don't. I'd have to look, but we don't have our own definition of malicious mischief. Usually it's adopting the RCW related to malicious mischief. Now, what we will run into is like the chief mentioned and the other officers mentioned is that we may have some carve-outs that if I'm tasked with coming to Cosmopolis and I'm a police officer, I'm gonna learn those carve-outs and or if I don't know them, I'm gonna look it up. So that has not been an issue in my experience.
Thank you, Chris. My follow-up to that question is, it's related. So there are a lot of things that obviously can be referred to in the code as written. I'm curious about those things that maybe aren't as clearly defined, things that maybe require more of a human judgment and more reflect the spirit of how the town approaches law enforcement, in cases where it's not as, crystal clear just by checking the city code. Things that might be a judgment call for the mayor or the chief that would be communicated to say, this is how we'd like to respond to these types of situations. I'm referring to those things that really invoke the sense of judgment and compassion of an officer. I'm not going to, rattle off specific examples, but I'm sure you all, as professionals, have a sense of what kinds of situations might be included in that. So I'd like to hear both about your, and it's mainly a question for you, Chief Green, your feelings about how you would approach those sort of, I guess, philosophical feelings about law enforcement, as they might be a little different between Aberdeen and Cosmopolis. And then also how you might communicate, or how we might communicate with citizens about changes to law enforcement that reflect a more active level of service, and also maybe some pain points in those transitions. So, if we suddenly ramp up parking enforcement in a way that we haven't historically done, maybe our officers have been a little bit more forgiving, understanding of financial hardship, in enforcement, some situations like that. How might we communicate in a way where we're not just catching citizens off guard with a pretty observable difference in our approach to law enforcement? That was a big question. Let me know if I can clarify that in any way.
Sure, okay, well, first off, maybe the parking enforcement wasn't a good example. I mean, we're not gonna show up January 1st and start looking at everybody's cars, right? That's
do, I'll give you the address.
Yeah, I'm sure there's gonna be, I run into the same problem very frequently in Aberdeen, where there's a chunk of people that are like, you should be towing every single car that is parked more than 12 inches away from the curb. And then there's a chunk that are, hey, let's try to get these guys to move. And we're big proponents of serving with compassion. We all live in Great Stroudsburg, we all work here, we eat dinner here, we do all those things. So we're not gonna show up and take enforcement action and do things that would, jeopardize our legitimacy in the community, our community caretaking function too. Those are all things that are our top priority. Very rarely are we gonna be able to cite or arrest our way out of a problem. Because the reality is they're gonna get a citation or an infraction or something, and we're gonna tow a car, it's gonna come back, the people are still here. We take people to jail all the time in Aberdeen. We arrest a lot of people for crimes that are, like disorder-like crimes and such, but they're out of jail in 2 days. Did we solve any problem? That's not a problem that the police department can solve. We're trying to take care of situations to calm them down. So, we'll be very empathetic, especially when we have any kind of a new period. Lots and lots of warnings. We have little paper notes for parking problems to just kind of educate people. That's really important, that they understand what the law is. Ignorance isn't a defense, but it goes a long way with trying to avoid us having to take enforcement action. We don't make any money off infraction citations, like $3 or $4. It's not very much at all, so this is not gonna be some revenue generating thing for us where we're gonna go out and write a bunch of tickets and bring in a bunch of revenue to the city of Aberdeen. As far as nuanced things that, your community, your citizenry, and the council and the mayor want, I'm absolutely open. I'm very available. Anytime our Springer sends me an email, I call her back within 2 or 3 minutes. I think our cops are pretty responsive too, and I think that they're compassionate as well. They deal with 34,000 calls a year in Aberdeen, and I get like 5 complaints a year about stuff, and most of the time it's just a difference of opinion. So I'm confident that they'll be able to do the same thing here. And, if it's something that's important and we want to hear about it, we need to let people know, and then they can let us know too. We have an online reporting portal that'll open up for you all too, so you can get those online things reported, because sometimes people don't want to talk about their neighbor, or they don't want to be known, or they just kind of want to give us a heads up on stuff too, so we can kind of solve some of those problems too. And sometimes we've found that we just need to get some people together in the same room and talk about a problem. So if I need to do that, or if Steve needs to do that, or they know one of the officers and that officer can come do that and solve that problem, and I'd much rather solve that than issuing citations, infractions, or making arrests or towing cars, things like that. I think we had a trespass issue a couple weeks ago near Hills, a homeless issue. Our goal with that situation is to get people the help they need. That's our responsibility. We have, the Goldberg family in Aberdeen has started a fund that we've been using, holy cow, 20 years? Yeah, 25 years, as long as I've been here, I guess, so 28 and a half years. And we've combined that with the Blue Bridge Foundation. So we have a little pot of money that we can use as a department. So if somebody's coming through town, they run out of gas, we can get them gas, we can get them somewhere. If something happens and for some reason somebody's needs a hotel room because they broke down and they're going through town, we can do stuff like that. That's what we want to do. It's not just all about enforcement. That's kind of the last thing we really do. I mean, we stop 5,600 cars in Aberdeen a year, and we just write a couple hundred tickets. So it's not like we're out there enforcing those things. It's more important for us to be good neighbors and try to help people along and get people where they belong. Oftentimes we find those people that come through town, they just need to get back to their family, because whatever they have that's not working here, let's get them back where they can be reunited with somebody that can help them out, because we can't give that help to them there.
Thank you, Chief.
So at this time, I'm gonna have Terrell talk about the numbers, and then.
I just have one more question, Mayor, it'll be real quick.
Thank you.
One thing I didn't notice was the length of the current contract. Is it just gonna be a 1-year contract under this price, or are we looking at a 2 to 3 year?
I think we had talked about doing like a 3-year term, so that's, the price is annually,
Okay.
and then we're looking at a three-year term. And one other thing on the price too, that we haven't got guidance back from the Department of Revenue, is if we have to charge sales tax. So that's a possibility. They just passed that bill this last year. It went into effect, and so we pay sales tax now to ourselves for stuff. We pay sales tax to the state for stuff, and so it's possible that you may have to pay the 9% sale, whatever the quasi sales tax is to yourself. 8.9%. It's lower than Aberdeen's. Yeah, so that's a possibility too.
Thank you.
We've got to have that.
That's all I had there.
Oh, no, that's fine. So Terrell, do you
And
wanna?
I had asked for that, Councilman Spargo. I wanted it to be more than 1 year to create some stability for this community.
Thank you, I might overlook the
Try
email.
to, no, I don't know if I even remember to mention it, but in our discussions early on, I asked, let's at least do a couple of years so that there's some expectations for forecasting, and
That's what I was
not
hoping.
have everything get yanked out from underneath us after 12 months, so that
Fingers crossed we get our head above water a little bit without you guys going back saying, oh, we got Kazi now, $1 billion next year.
Yeah, and when we look at the budget, well, Tara can talk about our budget too. We didn't forecast 26 with being able to do this. That's not something that balances our budget as City of Aberdeen either too. So this is something that's extra that we're trying to help out with. So yeah, I think stability for our budget for the next 3 years would be great too.
Absolutely, thank you, appreciate it, Chiefs.
So, I know you say you didn't have to, but you're a number person.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna let you do the numbers.
Yeah, I think the numbers, you're looking at a savings of around 200,000 a year. You have to look at insurance to see how our insurance rates are going to change, if at all. I would expect them to go down with this agreement. But under your current arrangement, you can afford a chief and an officer barely. And we're looking at, $10,000 in the general fund at the end of the year. So we're barely hanging on. That's what the mayor calling me every time she wants to spend $500. Like, it's painful for everybody. It would be great to stabilize that, to build up a cushion, to build up some reserves. It's not gonna happen any other way.
When I get citizens to ask, what kind of presence will we see? What kind of patrol would, a couple of times a day they drive through the town? I don't have any idea what you guys do in Aberdeen as far as just patrolling the streets 24/7. So what could we expect to see over here?
Yeah, I think you're pretty accurate with what you said. Hopefully we're not coming over for a lot of calls. We know that the call load here is substantially less than ours. A priority for mine is we have cops in our school zones every morning. So we have 3 day shifts. We have, 5 school zones in Aberdeen. Then we have Kazi too, so that'd be an expectation that somebody comes over and parks in the school zone here too. Hopefully they're not writing any tickets, and we park out conspicuously so that way they see the car. We want people to slow down. I'm not gonna say that we're gonna be able to spend an hour a day driving around, because there's days where we're so busy in Aberdeen that we don't get to they don't get to drive around town either, they just go from call to call to call.
Right.
So when they have an assigned time, yeah, they absolutely should spend time coming over here too. And then our hope is to be able to expand our VIP program out to Cosmopolis as well. I suspect we'll probably have some people in your community that want to do that. Our VIPs, I don't know if you've seen them out driving around, but they're out just about every single night in Aberdeen and during the day too. So that's another set of eyes and ears out driving around.
I hope we can get that
Yeah,
initiated here
Yep.
if we go this direction. I
absolutely.
really do. And then I guess the last thing for me is, again, a presence type of a deal in a PR. We hold a festival in the park. Our chief, our officers are there, our fire department comes down to show a presence. I hope that we can get that along from you as well, that if there's the opportunity, come over and people can get to understand and know, oh, that Aberdeen police car now is part of our community as well. And that crew that goes along with it, so.
Yeah, absolutely. I've missed one event in Aberdeen in the last 3.5 years because I was out of state, but I'm at every one of our big events we have, doesn't matter what day of the week it is. Steve's been going to your council meetings when I have Aberdeen stuff going on too, so I'll be these council meetings assuming I don't have something going on in Aberdeen. Same thing if you have meetings like neighborhood, if you have like Neighborhood Watch wants to get together in neighborhood, we'll be part of that and help out and do that as well. We'll pull the community in for all the stuff that we do too. It's not gonna look any different than what Heath does. We just have more cops. So it's easier for us to send somebody because it's not just Heath relying on himself. And we do stuff for all of our businesses in the community too. We have instructors that do harassment, office safety, things like that. So if you have any businesses in town that wanted that, we could certainly come in and put on a class for them too. We're gonna meet with the school principal too, to sit down and see what kind of expectations they might have for us over there too. And just get an opportunity to walk through the building and, lots of our schools in the community like to have cops come in and do stuff like read books and stuff for the kids and things like that. I'd love to be able to do that too if that's something they want. And then, I'd also understand that some people don't want to have cops around sometimes too, so we'll want to be very sensitive for those types of people too. It's gonna be really depend on just people letting us know. That's gonna be the big thing. Let us know in advance and anytime somebody's got something going on in an event in Aberdeen, we send cops. We spend a lot of money on overtime just sending officers to events just to be there, just as a presence.
Thank you.
This is gonna add to Aberdeen's workload, your manpower. Can you explain, do you have adequate manpower
Sure.
to handle this new contract?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we kind of estimated about, I think 919 was the calls that we just estimated. That counts every single call for service that COSI would have in a year. Our cops average about 1,200 calls per officer on the patrol side. So if we're able to get this contract and this works for us, we're going to be able to hire one additional officer. It's not going to be somebody who's dedicated to Cosmopolis, but that just adds one more person to patrol to take that burden and kind of spread it out a little bit too. Because our officers have the same concern you did too, that we want to make sure that we're not overburdening anybody so that they can't go stop cars in Aberdeen and do the stuff that we want to do in town too. So I think with the call load, you've seen the numbers. Commander Timmons has been here. Your council meetings let you know how what the call load has looked like so far. I think we're going to be all right. If for some reason we have a massive retire off and there's nobody, I'll be the next guy. I'm the longest guy here, so we're still looking 4 or 5 years down the road before we have 6 or 7 people that are going to go at the same time. We try to stay ahead of that. It just takes a long time to hire cops. We're in the process of hiring 2 more additional officers for 2 other positions, but I think we're going to be okay for the time being. And like I said, I'm very communicative with our mayor in Aberdeen. I'll do the same thing with Mayor Springer and the rest of your council too, so you guys all have a really good idea where we're at with staffing and things that are going on that might impact anything like that. And like I said, I'm super available if anybody has any questions, or if they see something or they hear something and they want to know. I want you to know that we'll be there to answer those questions for you.
I think that's all we got there.
Well, thank you. We appreciate you coming over and presenting tonight. As I said, you've been a great partner, and I know when we lost Officer Bailey to Aberdeen.
He's doing really well, by the way. He's going to be on his own next week.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a lot of same guys around here.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Go take care of that. With Gabe and everybody else.
Yeah, we have 3 former officers that started here, years here, and then we have 3 that live here, so I suspect you'll still see plenty of Aberdeen cops driving around.
Yeah.
One that was raised here.
Yes, yeah.
You little sergeant, little overhead.
But, you know, we've just seen,
Actually, I remember there was one other question I had, somebody had asked me, and I just came up and remembered it. The presence on Highway First Street, the highway out here, it is, you know, it's 30 miles an hour, but, you know, we have, Officer Bailey was awesome,
Yeah.
keeping that speed under control for everybody going through here. So, and obviously, since he's been gone, people have noticed that, yes, the cars have picked up, the logging trucks go fairly speedy through here, and so I think they were wondering if, there is going to be, maybe not the presence he was, but at least another presence to try to maintain, because when there isn't any, everybody takes advantage of it, so,
Sure.
you know.
Yeah, so we have 2 traffic officers. We have one that's just assigned to DUIs, and then we have one traffic officer who's on the same team as him, who's a former state trooper, and that's what he does, is just traffic stuff all the time. And one other thing too is we received some money from the Gus Harbor Foundation recently, so we have a speed radar sign. So as soon as this thing's good to go, we're gonna put that up on 101 facing southbound, so I'll get cars coming into town northbound. And so that doesn't issue tickets or anything to anybody, it shows your speed, and then it also it keeps all the data. So we're able to come up next to it with a Bluetooth, log into it, and we keep track all the data, because we have, 5 around town?
Yeah, I have no.
State Street, I know.
State Street,
Gets me all the time.
Wishcott, and they actually have worked. We have the stats, and they have lowered the speeds a couple miles per hour each place assigned us, because some people just think it is like you're gonna get a ticket in the mail, which is fine by me that they think that, but it does work. So yeah, absolutely, we give that attention. And if you have some other areas too, I would certainly hope that people will just reach out and let us know, and, you know, say if you have a problem house or a problem area, yeah, our cops are really good at that kind of stuff.
I know something that was brought to our attention, Highland Park is up on the hill up Franklin. That is used by lots and lots of families and kids there, and I know the chief had sent patrols up there because people complained about the speed up there, and so it, you know, during the summer when the park is really active, because there are several programs that use it, they've sent extra patrols up there, or a sign. We were looking at, I was looking at grants, how to get some funding for those speed signs, so if there was extra, that would be a great place to post it to, because there's little kids, families that, it's a very active.
Yeah, Commander Timmons has a lot of really good connections in the community, and so anytime we need something like that, he's able to get us some local grants, and then we also have a lot of community people that want to support us, that'll frequently give him a call and be like, hey, I have a little bit of money, what can I buy from you guys? Perfect, that's a great opportunity, because we can move those signs around, they're not hard to move, we'll hook up with your public works person, they can put it on a pole for us, and then we can track the data and get a really good idea.
And I think there's one, we have one down at the school, and I know Justin being on the safety committee and all that, did you think of any other places that you thought it might be important, because you really pay attention to that?
I'll do some research, and then we'll be able to get back on that topic later down the road.
Yeah, as soon as we got ours, our council gave me a big long list of a spreadsheet. So I was like, perfect, I'll just start knocking them out a month at a time.
That's what I'm kind of thinking, I'll work on building
Well,
some.
we kind of have found that in the residential neighborhoods, most of them, the ones we put up, they're not as fast as people say they are. So, you know, the display doesn't show it 90 miles an hour, it just records it. But, yeah, those, I mean, I really do think they're great tools.
They are, yeah.
There's not a UPS truck that doesn't do 50 miles an hour.
They might slow down if they think they're getting recorded.
So you're saying, so we have our court here, but any of the speeding or parking infractions, those are handled at the Aberdeen Court
No,
District? Or
those would continue to be cited into Cosmos
Yes.
Municipal Court.
Oh, okay.
All of the ticketing systems are electronic now.
Okay,
So
I
they would
wasn't sure
just
if it
choose
was
that drop
tickets are
down.
separate and.
That's something that could, down the road,
Right.
could be changed, but right now, it continue to go into our court.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm on board.
So I think this is the end of the workshop, Mayor.
It is the end of the workshop, and thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out.
Definitely.
Thank you, Chief, for visiting and answering our questions.
No problem, sir.
We will stop.
We're gonna we'll pause.
We're
the-
gonna pause the workshop.
At least somewhere.
in a farm.
Chief,
Time to rock.
Chief,
Let's go.
Chief, could you lead us?
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everybody to our council meeting. Today is November 1st. It's 7 o'clock. Oh, November 5th. It's 7 o'clock, and I call the council meeting to order. Clerk Grove, how many citizens are joining us online this evening?
11.
Okay, and who do we have here and present?
Online.
No,
Oh, Chief Green is with us this evening and Commander Timmons, Chris Coker, our city attorney, and Tara Dunford, our CPA.
okay, could you please do roll call?
Councilman Skinner,
Here.
Councilmember Wynn,
Here.
Councilmember Spargo,
Here?
Councilmember Colette,
Here?
Councilmember Darcy.
Here,
Before we move to approve the agenda, we will need to remove item 7 from new business for the proposal of increase the plumbing permit fees and council action item 3, the vote on approval of these fees. Moving on to approval of agenda, is there a motion to approve agenda for tonight's meeting?
Council Darcy moves to approve the agenda.
Councilman Skinner, seconds.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, moving on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Councilmember Colette moves that we approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Council Darcy said that.
Any discussion? Hearing none? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Opening it now for council comments. Are there any council comments at this time?
I'd like to make a brief comment. Good evening, everyone. I hope you're enjoying this lovely weather. I just wanted to is everyone able to hear me all right?
Yes.
Thank you. I just wanted to let everyone know that due to personal reasons, I will be attending meetings remote only for the time being. I hope it's not going to be on an indefinite basis, but I will keep people informed if I know differently. In the meantime, I know it's frustrating to not be able to interface with your council members in person. I do encourage you to reach out to me via email at council2@cosmopolis.wa.gov. And if you lose track of that email address, you can find it on the Cosmopolis website. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Nguyen. Committee reports, auditing.
Yeah, vouchers that were looked over and everything looks fine. It's nice to see the stack gets a little smaller.
Okay. Parks,
No meeting, no report.
public safety.
We have not had a meeting this month.
Public works.
As we've double-headed the meetings for the budget season, we will have our reports on the second meeting of the month.
Okay, thank
Public
you.
safety the same.
Okay, city official report. Tonight, we'll start with Clerk Grove.
I don't think I have anything to report. Tara's doing all the financial reporting right now, so.
Okay. Chief Lehman.
I've had lots to report, but nothing in addition for tonight during this segment.
Okay. Chief Coker, is he absent tonight? He was excused, he was excused from the meeting tonight. Building Inspector Bill Cedar is also absent this evening and had reported to me earlier in the week that he would be unable to be here as a conflict. The mayor report, I just wanted to let you know I was contacted by the EPA I'm going to read the statement that I did receive from them. There is activity at the Cosmo Mill. They are probably, EPA is going to be there for the next 3 weeks. They have mobilized for removal site evaluation, RSE. The RSE will focus on chemicals stored in storage tanks, containers, piping, and release pathways. Information collected during the RSE will inform EPA decision-making on potential removal and action to address hazardous substance pollutants that pose a threat of release into the environment. The RSE will involve deployment of EPA personnel and contractors for 3 weeks, and that started today. I also have a contact number if anybody has questions and would like to email the EPA with any questions. He asked me to share that, so just come up to me at the end of the meeting or reach out to me at mayor@cosmopolis.gov.
Mayor, may I ask a question about that?
Yes,
So as you'll recall, when we had the Washington Department of Ecology come and give their, their report on the mill, we were advised that they had identified several leaks that were off-site of the mill. So they were, presumably all based on, there were exfiltration from the effluent pipes that, could be really kind of anywhere in the city. I don't know where exactly those pipes run through. And we were told that to get the information about where those sites were, where they had identified, potential chemical leaks, we would have to submit a public records request for that. Is the visit from the EPA going to differ in any way in terms of their reporting of any potential hazards that are found off the site of the Cosmopolis mill?
so my understanding, and I spoke directly with Bradley Martin, who works with the EPA, and we've worked with him for the last year, is that they're really out here looking at the tanks. They're looking at stored chemicals. They're just looking at if there's any leakage, any potential hazard for, a really breakdown of a tank, and what other pollutants might be there. And so once they have a big team on the ground here, and so they will be here, as I said, for the next 3 weeks. And if you have questions, they would be the people to reach out to, and I can send you their email address.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. The next piece that I had was talking about so our regular council meetings will be on, we have another one on November 9th. Just a reminder that we have 2 council meetings a month due to budget meetings. December, we'll have 2 meetings with the finalization of our budget. December 3rd and December 17th will be council meetings. And then just something that did take place here in our community center, the Timberland Library now will be serving the city of Cosmopolis. They will be here on the last Tuesday of the month from 12 to 1:30 in the community center room. So if you have an opportunity, that's great. Great opportunity for many of our citizens to go visit the library, check out books, get a card. There's a number of services that they offer. So I'd encourage citizens to check it out. And that's my report for tonight. So moving on to new business, we are going to open public hearing for citizens' comments. Are there any citizens' comments for the public hearings at this time?
Open at 7:09.
Open at 7:09.
See, it's for the preliminary budget.
And it's for the preliminary budget. So I'm going to close and then tell.
Then we move on to the next item.
Okay. Then we move on to the next item. So item 2, second reading of ordinance 1400, budget amendment number 1, 2025.
Can you give me permission to share, Casey? Thank you. So this is the budget amendment, second read of this. There have not been any changes since the last time, so.
It's not sharing.
Sorry, I need to find it. Hang on. I can go through this if council has questions on it, otherwise, I can read through all the items again, but I think we covered it in depth last time.
For me, I think we're okay.
Okay.
You said there've been no changes?
No changes. Can I move on?
So moving on to item 3, first reading of property tax levy. There'll be no action required for this.
Yep, hang on, I'm having trouble finding my documents here. Okay. So this is the first read of the property tax levy for 2026. As a reminder, council can authorize an increase of 0% or 1% or anything in between. We would ask that you choose one or the other just for calculation efficiency for us. The actual dollar increase over last year is confusingly enough only $20. That is because the refunds of $4,813 are excluded from the calculation of the highest lawful levy. So when we do this ordinance, we have to state what the dollar increase is over the actual levy of last year, which includes the refunds. Those refunds are not included in the 1% calculation. So if you authorized a 0% increase, we'd actually look at a decrease in the total levy as written for the ordinance. We would then add the refunds this year. So I understand it's very confusing. Also excluded is new construction. So the actual dollar increase, the true dollar increase is about $4,800. The impact on each home is listed here. So I've listed it out based on different valuations. So for example, if your assessed valuation is $400,000, the dollar increase is going to be $6.65 for the whole year. So the impact on individual taxpayers truly is very, very low. I always recommend that cities take this 1%. You can bank it, which means you can increase 2% next year in essence, but you lose out on this year's collection. The city desperately needs every dollar it can get, so I really, really encourage council to approve this as written. Just as a reminder, the total property tax levy last year for the city was $10.38. Roughly 21% of that was the city's levy, base levy, and then you had the bond levy, which was an additional 9% roughly. So we're looking at 30% is the city's portion of the levy. The bulk of the levy goes to schools, about 52%, and then the remainder going to the county and port, library, hospital, other purposes. So this action has a very small impact. I don't want to discount the impact, but it is a very small impact. We have this scheduled for second read at the next council meeting. It must be adopted one way or another by the end of November so we can file the certification with the county.
Item 4, discussion on the preliminary budget.
Okay, let me share that page. So there was only one change from our original discussion of this, and I just want to talk about the calendar briefly too. We are scheduled to adopt on December 3rd. Council can elect to hold another meeting in December for the budget, but we really could be done December 3rd if council wanted to. That would be my vote too. So the only change that we made, and I think this is a Councilmember Darcy question, thank you for this. It was on the wage scales. So we had, if you recall last time, the high and low was the same for a lot of positions, and it was very confusing. I'm really glad the question was asked because we went down quite a rabbit hole of why this was this way. And what we determined was that it was really, staff was quite confused on how to determine what to pay someone every time that they came on board, and some of the wages, like the police chief wage, for example, included longevity and others didn't, so it was quite confusing. So we streamlined this and kind of started fresh with it. So the police chief position is based on actual wages excluding longevity, and then we put the longevity rates down separately. So using that position as an example, it's the first one on the list. This does reflect the chief's current pay rate plus the 3% cost of living adjustment that's proposed for 2026. And then we're listing the longevity separately, so it would apply to any position that qualifies for it. We broke this down into steps, which we didn't have before. We just had high-lows, which were the same for some positions and different for others. So we broke down the steps. The patrol officer position is based on the 2023 contract, which was the last one in place. With the COLA, obviously, if you move forward with the Aberdeen contract, this is a moot point for those two positions, but we're presenting it now because that's what you currently have. The utility workers, we've added ranges so that we have an existing person in the position that will get paid in accordance with how long they've been in the position. As you add new people, that they would start at the bottom and move up by the months of service. Really, we're not changing any wages that were budgeted. We're simply adding this schedule and building it out so that we know where to add people if a position changes during the year. The way that it's currently written and currently budgeted, the mayor has one pay rate per person, and that's what can be paid. And that's not consistent, obviously. If we have one person at step C and we put that in the budget and a new person comes on, then we're paying them, we're really overpaying them at that point. So again, the full-time positions and the part-time hourly all have a 3% cost of living adjustment proposed by the mayor. Council can change that if you'd like to as part of the budget process. But this is the only change to the budget document, no change to the dollars budgeted. I'd be happy to take questions on this or any other segments of the budget. If there are any sections of the budget that council wants further presentation on for next time, please let us know and we can put that together.
This budget right now that we're looking at reflects having a chief and one officer.
Correct.
And if it definitely then would change the budget if we move to the Aberdeen. So would we have to make an amendment, or as long as we get that voted on by this end of this month, that gives time to adjust the budget before we adopt it on the 3rd?
That's a great question. You could do it either way. So if you vote on the Aberdeen contract next time, we can adjust the budget before the final read on the 3rd to reflect that. In reality, you're going to save money, so we wouldn't technically even have to amend the budget because you're simply going to have costs that are less than budgeted. These FTE technically would still be authorized by council, but obviously the mayor wouldn't fill those positions.
I see. And, okay, no, it doesn't have to do with the budget, so I'll wait. Anybody else?
No,
I know it's hard to see through me.
No, that was the same question, that was the same question I had, so you take care of it.
I think we all three had the same one, but, yep, it's been answered.
Okay, moving on to item 5, Aberdeen Police Department Police Service Contract Proposal. Councilman Skinner.
Really? Well, I guess this is just for the council and a couple of visitors, or citizens. We had our public safety meeting last month, and this was brought up to us at that time, that the position that we're in, our civil service board had went out, looked for officers, pretty much non-existent, wanting to come in at the rate of pay that was offered. And I'm summarizing tremendously on this. And I'm the last one that wants us to lose our police force. I just don't want to. We looked at, even a year ago, had a committee we formed to look at passing a levy to help fund our police force. Well, with the costs of everything else the way they are, with the sewer bills the way they are, what's going to happen? We're gonna be asking the citizens ourselves to lay out a considerable amount of money just for that. Looking at the options that we had, extending the contract with Aberdeen, opening that contract to be 24/7, 365. We didn't want to have to do it, but we just don't see any way out. We just cannot come up with feasible funds to be able to, whether it is come in with a what did you call it, a starting out of the academy and hoping for that. The cost of that is way out of bounds compared to what we have money for anything at this point in time. So with the services that Aberdeen can offer us, that come along just with the patrol and everything else that they're able to do for us, and the savings that it gives us, my recommendation through, and I think Mark's is the same, through the safety committee, we left the meeting on board that this was the direction we had to take. It wasn't comfortable, but it just does, we can't find a way out. Can't find a way out. And the citizens, all of us included, deserve public safety. We need it. It's a little town. For years and years and years, it was taken care of by one police officer. Times have changed. We wanted to try to get help. It didn't work out. This is the option that's out there. I think it's the best option. It continues a partnership with Aberdeen that we've had for longer, just this last couple of years. And I think they can provide the service that will be excellent to Cosmopolis. I really believe that that's the best route for us as a council. Next meeting, we'll let some more citizens talk to us, reach out to them, find out what their feelings are, try to explain the positives of what this move will be. We've all said we don't know that if we make this change that we will get to a point someday where we'll be able to come back and have our own police force again that's out there. But right now, I believe this is our best option, actually our only option. I don't see that we can go with the county. I read today the county is looking at a tremendous shortfall in their budget. They don't have the people. I don't think that we can be covered as well by the sheriff's department, myself, as we can by our partners next door. And so that's my rendition. What I would move is that come next meeting, we do our best to adopt this, vote on this and adopt this new contract with Aberdeen. Chief Green has put together an excellent presentation on what the costs will be. I think the idea that Councilman Spargo come up with on not a 1 year, but a 3 year, 2 year, 3 year contract is the best option that we can do, and we can look at it as we get closer to those years expiring as to what continuation and what it would cost us. So I'll end with saying my recommendation is that we vote next week on this and hopefully pass it.
I would like to add to that between Councilmember Skinner and myself, Chief Lehman, we spent nearly 2 years agonizing over ways to try to help save our police department, try to help come up with the funding, try to help come up with the officers. And Aberdeen has been great partners, great helping us out, and it's much appreciated. And the more I look at the way things are, I think that's the only option we have. I think that's it right now. As much as, you know, I'd like to maintain our own police department, I think we're gonna have to do this. That's what I've got.
Yes, and I went in myself and I actually talked to Chief we had a really long conversation and came with lots of questions to him and he was very thorough and answering those questions and so I feel confident in what we're possibly should be moving forward to with and I think it also helps us with our future budgets as well as knowing exactly what we have available and that whole expenditure thing, and yeah, he explained very thoroughly about the extent of time and money that it takes to recruit and do that, and then with, the bodies aren't really out there, and it's not just our city, it's nationwide really as a police situation, so, yeah, so I think we're looking for what's best for Kazi, and I think working with Aberdeen, I feel myself as positive moving forward.
Okay, moving on to item 6, Resolution 2025-14, establishing water and sewer connection fees for River Edge waterfront townhouses. And Sue will speak to that.
Yeah, I had something to add to that. There was a lot of questions that were brought forth in the last council meeting to Bill. And in this month, since the last one we had, Bill and the office staff that all have been diligently looking for the answers. And according to Bill, it is considered the resolve. I feel myself that it's very important to the city that we stay current with outdated fees and permits, which we have already seen that we have had quite a few of those. And as a council, we've already voted on 2 previous increases for this because they've been outdated. And it's important monetarily for our city to stay on top of these increases. And our ordinances basically state that we can make increases or decreases anytime we feel that it is necessary. And I think these are beneficial for the financial stability of our city, and as more development occurs here, it's going to be a financial, benefit to us. So I feel that moving forward with the vote for it is in the best interest of the city. And I think we need to keep these fees and permitting updated and stay with what the prices are and what these fees are. And so that's my stand on that.
Thank you, Councilmember Darcy. Moving on to public comments at this time. I'm going to open the floor for council comments. Please just state your first name. This is not a question and answer time, and you are limited to 3 minutes.
Carl, up on Bell Drive, you know where I live. A couple things here. And okay, they're gonna be questions, but I know Tara can answer them with a nod of her head. Ordinance 1400 budget amendment, that's the usual adjust at the end of the year type on the budget.
There were several items in the budget amendment, so
I've
yeah, I
read
would.
through them, but that's just the usual that we do every year type thing. Pretty much,
It's a common event.
yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. The property tax levy, number 3, that's the usual common 1%. I like that. This goes to a question on resolution 2025-14, goes more that direction perhaps. In that resolution, it targets specifically River's Edge waterfront townhomes. Are those connection fees in line with what I would pay if I bought a chunk of property and wanted to build a house? Would I pay that same fee, or is this targeted strictly at River's Edge?
So, thank you for your comment. You could reach out to Mr. Sedor.
In other words, you won't answer me in a public forum?
So this is comment time only,
Very good, thank you.
and he would be the direct person to speak to that. Any other comments at this time? Okay. So moving on. New business for the council action. Is there any motion to approve the adoption of the budget amendment number 1, ordinance 1400 for action items?
Councilman Skinner, I make a motion that we adopt the budget amendment 1400, ordinance 1400.
Is there a second?
Councilmember Colette seconds that motion.
Is there any discussion at this time? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
those opposed? So motion so passed. So action item number 2 is a motion to approve resolution 2025-14 water and sewer connection fees.
Council Darcy, I move to approve resolution 2025-14, establishing water and sewer connection fees for the Rivers Edge Waterfront Townhomes.
Is there a second?
Councilmember Wynn, seconds.
All those in favor of approving, say aye.
Discussion.
Oh, thank you. Is there any discussion at this time?
Matter of fact, there is. I would kind of like to know if, the answer to what Carl brought up. If this is indeed in line with what everybody gets charged, or if this is going to be something different.
Again, I think that would be a question for Mr. Cedar. I can't speak to that.
How can you vote on something if you don't have the answers?
Councilman Skinner, I have a comment. This is hard. The two people that I really would have hoped would have been present to answer any of these questions, for one reason or another, did not attend tonight's meeting. And this resolution has been brought forward now for a vote on us. Motion was made to vote on it. I got to believe that our building inspector, the man that's been working on putting these things all together, has done his job, and his proposal is these rates for this. And I don't like this wording, that it says that it's specific to one project, and I don't believe it is. I think that the idea, or it is that depending on the size of the line, is depending on the cost of the hookup. Your residence is a heck of a, not an 8-inch line. And so I know from that discussion, or remember from the discussion that we did have with Bill, that these were for this type of work, this is what the fee would be set at. And like I said, it's tough, but I also believe that it was brought to us to vote on tonight. And the motion was passed, seconded, and I think we have to put it to a vote. We'll see where it goes from there.
All those in favor, say aye.
Legal
Aye.
information here, but
Are there any opposed?
Nay.
Okay.
2-2.
The,
Don't leave,
Oh, we
Councilman
have-
Wynn.
Did Jeremy get?
I voted aye.
okay,
Aye, okay.
okay. The motion passes.
Chris might have an issue here.
So how many did we?
So could you
Targeted fees,
please,
me.
could you please state your name and your vote?
Councilmember Wynn votes aye.
Councilman Skinner votes aye.
Councilman Spargo, nay.
Councilman Colette? Nay.
Councilmember Darcy, yes.
The ayes have it, the motion passes. Okay. Okay, Moving on to public comments. At this time, I will open the floor for general public comment. Please state your first name. Please limit your comments to the council body only, and 3 minutes for the comments on the floor. Not seeing any. At this time, I'm going to ask that we adjourn, a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Council comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's been a long week. At this time, I will open the floor to council comments.
I just want to say yes on that last vote, that Councilmember Skinner brought up a good point, is that this is being brought forward by our inspector, the person who does this for a living, knows about it, does it, and is thorough for what he does, and I think as a council, we should take his advice, because he's one who is providing the information to us, so, that's what I have to say, and I think we should take his information as the information that he's given us, and so.
I'd like to make a quick comment on that also, and I apologize, I probably should have brought this up when we were doing discussion, but I do have the benefit of having the document that our building inspector shared with us at the relevant meeting on the plumbing permit fees. So my understanding of that is it is a unilateral adjustment to the city plumbing fees. They all vary. I think the largest increase is something like $50 for a hookup. If I'm misunderstanding that, then someone's welcome to correct me, but
Discussing on something that was removed tonight, buddy.
the plumbing permit fees?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was removed.
Oh, so this is a separate, no, so this is strictly for the waterfront district?
we don't know yet, sir.
Yeah, no, it's
Okay. Well, I mean, I will stand by whatever the recommendation is from Bill, but I agree with Councilmember Darcy that is probably the best counsel that we can follow. Although I also would have preferred to get those answers from them directly tonight.
So,
I'd like to add, well, since we're on this topic, verbiage is everything. That was the decision that we went with tonight. Verbiage is huge. The verbiage on this is just not locked and loaded as I would like it. Separate from that, Chief Lehman, thank you for everything you've done for our community over the years you've given us. No matter what happens in the next few weeks, I just want to say thank you. The citizens, the community, we will miss you drastically as we've missed Officer Bailey. To not see a Causey Police Department vehicle on our streets is a sad day for Causey. Having our neighboring services, thank you, gentlemen, for working with us. Thank you, Chief Green. I'm excited for the future. Black and white, this is just the route we have to go. It's very unfortunate. Once again, as all council and mayor and admins will probably thank you, Chief, from the bottom of our hearts. That is all I have. That is my comment.
and I want to apologize, I didn't recognize you when we had department reports. If you would like to do your report.
That is submitted in writing.
Okay.
we do, we're.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to add that I wish Bill had been here to answer the questions concerning this. And that was the reason that I voted nay, because I didn't feel I had enough information. And I trust Bill and I trust his recommendations, but I would like to have had that question answered.
Any other comments before we adjourn? So is there a motion to adjourn?
Councilman Spargo motions to adjourn.
Councilman Colette seconds that motion.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
What about discussion?
Just to understand,
Sure.
okay, the budget side works with all the bars numbers, so I'm old school. When I was on council. We're looking at fire equipment fund started at 17,000. Revenues at 118.
Yeah, they got a grant that has a very small city match.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so that's expenditures, okay,
Yep.
that's
Spending the
expenditures,
grant,
okay,
yeah.
great.